الله الرحمن الرحيم سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So lesson 15, we are going to do ruling number 1237. Now don't let this ruling scare the hell out of you, scare the heaven out of you. So basically this ruling is talking about somebody who sold you his item. He sold you a cell phone, okay, and then he regretted, and then he wants to get it back from you. So there are two situations in Islamic law. One is fixed sale, that none of the parties can return it. Another one is, they call it here in Sweden, öppet köpet. That means open shop. That means refundable. That means money back guarantee in the United States. So if you are not satisfied, you can get your money back. You see. So this is also in Minhaj al-Salihin, Sayyid Sistani, when he discusses trade, he mentions about 10 to 12 types of open, like refundable sales, nullifiable sale, okay? Nullifiable sale, you can null the sale. So there are different types. So let's say, so there is a fixed sale where both parties say that we are going to drop all the options. So if you take, you cannot give it back to me. If I take, I will never give it back to you. Even if you say, no, give me back, I will not. So this is when you make a conditional sale where you drop all your options to null the sale. Both sides, they agree. Okay. Sometimes one side, they say, okay, let me have an option. Other side say, okay. Like most of the times, the buyer, they need to have the option to null the sale if they're not satisfied. Okay. So from the buyer's side. This is normally what happens in many Western countries, where you have the option to null the sale. So let's say there was a sale. They agreed on option to null the sale, and the options dropped, like the date. Okay, until 2 days, I have the option to null the, like 90 days money back guarantee, 60 days money back guarantee, 2 weeks money back guarantee, 3 days money back guarantee. So it's also limited, okay? Some of the option to null the sale is not like forever. No, there is a limitation. It doesn't make any sense to keep it open-ended all the way. So option to null the sale. So there was this option to null the sale, let's say in 3 days. So the period of option dropped. Now here, it is mentioned in the books of law, of trade, it is mustahab if a mu'min comes to you and he wants to null the sale and the condition period is over, the null period is over, the option period is over, just respond to him and help him out. Just null the sale. If you are able to, you will get reward. If a mu'min has come to you, you see, is requesting you. So you know how much great thawab is to fulfill the request of a mu'min. So he asks you to null the sale, option to break the agreement. So now you took an item from him. You purchased a car from him and you hired that car. So you gained profits. Okay. The guy came, can I have my car back? So you can give him the car back. What about the gains? What about the interest, the profits you got? No, you just give him the car back, because first of all, the period is done to null the sale, and you're doing some, you're going 1 mile ahead or 1 kilometer ahead or step ahead and helping him out. So you don't have to give him the interest you gained. Okay, so khums will be on the gains which you got. If you do not use it in your monthly income, because that was your gain. So let's see the details of this ruling and see what are the angles. Ruling number 1237. إذا أجرى معاملة, if a person does make a transaction, like a deal, transaction, deal, trade and transaction, فيها ثم استقاله الطرف الآخر. استقالة means resignation. The resignation means breaking the contract, finishing the contract. I quit. Okay. So the opposite side, you got something, you purchased. The second party, he said, please, can we break the deal? Istiqala, finishing. فأقاله. Okay, that's fine. You are a mu'min. I'm going to, for the sake of Allah, I'm going to, though I'm benefiting from this item which I purchased from you, the car, I'm getting income, good income. I've kept your car on Uber. Okay, so I'm getting interest. But anyhow, I will give it back to you. ثم استقاله الطرف الآخر فأقاله لم يسقط الخمس عما ربحه. Khums will not be dropped. Okay, khums will not be dropped from the gains unless إذا كان من شأنه أن يقيله وحصل ذلك قبل انقضاء السنة. Unless if it was your nature to, whenever people they come, you just they want to break, just they see you making benefits. Oh, I never thought of it, let me get it back. Hasad comes sometimes. So, oh, you regret, why did I sell him? I would have done the same thing and gained interest and profits. Okay, so you want it back. So if this guy's nature was whenever he buys, he starts gaining and people they want it back, he gives it back. So إذا كان من شأنه وحصل له قبل انقضاء السنة. So before the end of the year, he got the gains. So here he doesn't have to pay the khums of it unless if it remains at the end of the year like any other wealth. Okay? لم يسقط الخمس عما ربحه, because now the car was his capital of investment. So he gave it back. So the khums, there's no khums now because he doesn't have a capital of investment anymore. So therefore, but what about the interest, the benefits? So the benefits, he doesn't have to pay the khums of it because it's not the capital of investment, number one. Number two, it is not from his, it was from his nature that whenever people they come, he just gives him back. And this gains, he got it before the end of the year. So if it was at the end of the year, he would pay the khums. So if he uses this in his living expenses, there will be no khums. If it stays, then at the end of the year, he will be paying the khums. But this is not the capital of investment. This is gains above the capital of investment. So he gives an example. So let me give you my example here. Yes, if a person made a transaction, he gained profit in it, that item. Then the other party of the transaction, example, the seller, requested to null the transaction. Thus, the buyer accepted to null it and returned the item to the seller after the buyer had benefited from it, such as from the milk of the goat. Let's say he bought a goat. I gave you a example of car and Uber, but this is like a goat, for example. Or eggs. He purchased chicken and mashallah, started giving eggs. The guy said, wow, let me get my chicken back. Okay, so he got this chicken back. He cannot get his eggs back. I mean, the chicken's eggs. So, benefited from it. Such as from the milk of the goat, for example, or the eggs from the chicken. Then its khums would be obligated on whatever profit he gained from it. So so the profit needs to be khums, unless if the buyer was from those who accepts to null the transaction, and if the profit gain was before the end of the year and not after the end of it. So if at the end of it, that means you pay the. So say this Istani gives an example. If a person purchases an item that values 1,000 dinar, for 200 dinar. So how much gain he got? 800 dinar. With the condition that the seller would have the right to null the sale. There was a condition. If he returns whatever was equal to the selling price, take this money, okay, give me my product, give me my chicken or whatsoever. So in a specific time. However, the seller did not request the return in the specific time. So the option to null the sale finished. So the sale became fixed. The transaction became fixed. So now that is that guy's chicken and the money is this guy's. Okay. So there was a gain. There was a gain. He got the chicken for 800 and it was the cost was 200 and the cost was 1,000. The guy wanted to get rid of his chicken. So the seller did not request. Thus the sale became fixed. Nevertheless, he requested the buyer during the year. After that time, then the khums would not be obligated on the profit, 800 dinar, if the buyer had a nature to accept the request to null the sale. As it is known mostly in such type of conditional sales, that if the seller returns equal to the cost. So if the seller brings the money, give me my item back, then usually people, they give the money back. Okay, so that is normally observed in that scenario. So anyhow, this is not that practical ruling, unless if you're a businessman and you go to do this nulling of the sales, then you might use this ruling. So let's move to the next slide. Ruling number 1238. Now we talk about the liabilities. إذا أتلف المالك, the khums liability of the damaged item where the khums was in it. Okay, the liability of paying the khums or damaged item. So let's say the khums was obligated. Let's say khums was obligated on an item, and that item was damaged, used, for example. Damaged, atlafa doesn't mean like damage, means consumed. Consumption is like perished. So that's why I like to use perished, because damaging is perished, consumption is perished. I don't know, there might be better other words you might have, but as long as you understand what I mean, or what say the Sistani means. So the أتلف المالك أو غيره ما تعلق به الخمس, something which khums had become fixed in it, obligated in it, he perished it, consumed it. ضمن المتلف الخمس, أتلف المالك أو غيره. The owner, like I, had to pay the khums of the cell phone. Okay, so I damaged it, or I gave it somebody gift or something, like it's not in my possession anymore. It got damaged, it got perished. I had to pay the khums of rice. I ate the rice, so it got perished. So I'll use the word perished better than damaged, because it's a more general meaning, atlaf. So the owner, I did, or no, somebody came and ate my rice, أو غيره, or somebody took the rice, or somebody, so me or someone else damaged an item or perished an item which the khums was obligated in it before paying the khums of it. Okay, then what should be done here? He says, ضمن المتلف الخمس. So whoever damaged, he is responsible. He is responsible to recover that damage or perish, recover that consumption, pay the khums of it. So liable. So he takes the liability, the one who perished, not the owner, no, the perisher, if it was owner or anyone else. ورجع عليه الحاكم الشرعي ببدله. So now the item is perished. So the religious authority or his representative, you will tell him, Sayyidina, I had this and it got used, now what should I do? He said, pay a substitute. How much was the khums? 10 euro. Pay 10 euro. Okay, so ورجع عليه الحاكم الشرعي, the religious authority would demand him to pay its substitute. Okay, this was perishment, consumption. In next scenario, no, it did not perish. You gave it to somebody. You have 1,000 euro. You need to pay the khums of it, 200 euro, 800 remaining. You gave 1,000 loan to someone else. That means the khums was gone. وكذا الحكم إذا دفعه المالك إلى غيره. Now the owner of the wealth, he gave it to someone. How? وفاء لدين. He was asking me for loan, 1,000 euro. So I paid him my loan. But there's khums in it. You can't pay 1,000. You can only pay 800. The 200 you have to give it to the religious authority. Well, I gave it now. What should I do? Well, finally then. Or gift it. His friend had a birthday and he gave him a gift 1,000 euro. That which had khums in it. أو عوض للمعاملة. He gave it mahar to his wife. Whatever, like a compensation of a transaction. فإنه ضامن للخمس. He is liable to pay the khums. He is responsible. ويرجع الحاكم عليه ببدله. And the religious authority would demand him to pay the substitute of it. فإنه ضامن ويرجع الحاكم عليه. Religious authority would demand him to pay the substitute. ولا يجوز الرجوع على من انتقل إليه المال إذا كان مؤمنا. And you cannot return. Let's say if it was you gave, remember the previous bullet, you refer to the one who perished it, not the owner. So here, let's say the gift was given to a mu'min. He says you cannot demand from a mu'min. Okay, you demand from the owner. ولا يجوز الرجوع. Demanding should not be done. It is not permissible to demand that khums, that 200 euro. على من انتقل إلى المال إذا كان مؤمنا. If it was a believer, follower of Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam, you cannot go to that person. You come to the owner. Come on, 200 euros, get it out of your pocket. But I gave it. We are going to wait until you give that 200. Go and get it from him. No. He's a mu'min. We cannot go and get it from him. If he was someone else, we would have got it from him. Why? They say here because Sayyid Sistani has this, there's a hadith which says, our 12th Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu, our Imams, they said, whatever comes transmitted to our Shias is halal. So what people they do, oh, આપણે તો શિયા છે, we are Shias, આપણને ખુમ્સ આપવાની જરૂરત નથી, આ તો ઇમામ ની હદીસ છે. So, and that hadith is authentic. But this is not, it's not like you don't pay the khums. No, it's whatever comes to you, accident, like this scenario. Whatever comes to you accidentally and it has khums in it, you are not liable to pay the khums. Liable is that person who is supposed to pay the khums in it. You can use it. It is not halalna li shi'atna, we have made it halal. That means if you are not eating usurped food, you are not usurping those 200. Enjoy it. The 200 is substitute is usurped with the owner, not you. But if you are not a mu'min follower of Ahl al-Bayt, yes, the usurp rule would apply. But then they do not follow Ahl al-Bayt, they do not follow Islam, so you can't impose on them khums rulings. So in all the cases, the owner needs to pay 200. Otherwise, it'll be trouble in the grave and then the hereafter. You got it? So because of this hadith, that our imams, they made halal to whatever has been transmitted to us. I gave you a gift pen. I never used it for 1 year. Khums became inside that pen. So now I gave you this pen. Now can you use it or it will be ghasbi? You're using money of imam and money of sadat. Okay? So, and you are not the deserving recipient. So it will not be ghasbi. This is what our imams mentioned. We have made it halal. That means you will not be considered usurped. It is our money. You are using it in your money. We have made it halal, and we have made the liable person the owner. He has to pay the substitute of the khums which you have it in your hand. So it is halal for you to use whatever accidentally comes to you, and khums is inside it. So even if you know that that guy did not pay the khums of it, Our imams, they made it halal. So that is what they said, إِذَا كَانَ مُؤْمِنًا. Let's move to the next one. So this one, you pay the khums of it because it is perished, gone, or it is in the possession of someone else. So, but there's the continuation of this ruling says, if the item grew, developed, one became two, two became three. So in that case, no, you have to pay the khums of it. So let's say, إذا كان ربح حبا. Let's say you had this pit of a date or pit of something or grain or seeds. That was your profit. Okay. Now you sow it in the ground without paying the khums of it. Remember, you sowed it in the ground, you planted it without paying the khums of it. So now after that, the seeds, they become plants. The seeds, they become plants. So now, should I pay the khums of the seed? No. You pay the khums of the plant because now that seed has become plant. So let's say if you had 1,000 kroner, euro, you did not pay the khums of it and it got invested. It was in the bank. Now it became 5,000 euro, let's say for example. So I need to pay the khums of 1,000. No, you need to pay the khums of 5,000 now. Why? Because you invested the money of the imam. You invested the khums. So whatever interest gains you were getting all these years, 20% of the interest gains, profits were for that 20% invested. So yes, the seeds, the seeds had 20% of the seeds, you had to pay the khums of it. But these seeds became plant. So 20% of the plant is khums. You got it? So in this case of perishing, this is not perishing. This is development. This is benefit, this growth. وَإِذَا كَانَ رِبْحَهُ حَبًّا. If his benefit was seeds, فَبَذَرَهُ. He sowed it or he planted them. فَصَارَ زَرْعًا. But then then these seeds became plants. وَجَبَ خُمْسُ الزَّرْعَ. The khums of the plant is obligatory, not the seed. لا خمس الحب. وإذا كان بيضا. Same thing about the egg. You had this egg. Okay. It got perished. How? A chick came out of it. Okay. And the chick became the judge. Chicken. So now, okay, let me see how much was the value of the egg. It was like €1 or like 1 kroner, for example. No, now you check the value of the chicken because that egg, 20% of it was khums. So 20% of the chick and the chicken. Now the whole chicken is 20% of it is khums. وَإِذَا كَانَ بَيْضًا فَصَارَ دَجَاجًا وَجَبَ عَلَيْهِ خُمْسُ الدَّجَاج. If it was egg, it became a chicken, then the chicken should be khums. لا خمس البيض, not the khums of the egg. وَإِذَا كَانَ رِبْحُهُ أَغْصَانًا. The branches came out of the tree. So now you're supposed to pay the khums of the branches. Okay, you have like 100 branches came out, 20 branches, you are supposed to value it, pay the khums of it. So, but those 20 branches, you took it and you planted them. So the branches were like €10. But now those plants, they have greater values. So you pay the khums of the plants, not khums of the branches now. وَإِذَا كَانَ رِبْحُ أَغْصَانًا. If the benefits or the profits were branches, فَغَرَسَهَا. So he planted them. فَصَارَتْ شَجَرًا. And it became trees. وَجَبَ عَلَيْهِ خُمْسُ الشَّجَرِ. It would become obligatory upon him to pay the khums of the tree. لَا خُمْسُ الْغُصَنِ. Not khums of the branch. وَهَكَذَا. Because now that branch became a tree. Now, let's say you paid extra khums. They say whatever goes does not come back. That's the rule. So let's say you paid extra khums accidentally. Oh, I paid extra. Other maraja, they say finish. You can't get it back. Why? Because the khums becomes obligated instantly the moment you get the income. But we give you chance to use in your annual expenses, and at the end of the year, pay the khums of the remaining from it. But khums becomes wajib from the beginning. Pay the, what they say, the khums after you use in your annual expenses. So now this guy wanted to be super mu'min, let me just pay in advance. So he paid in advance, and it came to be he paid extra. Okay, so now other maraja, they say that's it, it's one-way road. The khums does not come back to you if you give it to religious authority. However, Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah has a bit mercy in this law. He said, no problem, consult to us. We are going to discuss, and we are going to see how we can solve your problem which you give accidentally. So he says, إِذَا حَسِبَ رِبْحَهُ, if he calculated his income, okay, his profits, فَدَفَعَ خُمْسَهُ, he calculated and he paid the khums of it. ثُمَّ انْكَشَفَ أَنَّمَا دَفَعَهُ كَانَ أَكْثَرُ, but then he recalculated after giving it to say the Sistani or his representative. Oh no, I give extra, I had already paid the khums of it, I paid double khums, this and that. ثُمَّ انْكَشَفَ لَهُ, and he discovered أَنَّمَا دَفَعَهُ أَكْثَرُ مِمَّا وَجَبَ عَلَيْهِ, he paid more than what was wajib on him. لَمْ يَجُزْ لَهُ احْتِسَابُ الزَّائِدِ مِمَّا يَجِبُ عَلَيْهِ فِي السَّنَةِ الثَّانِيَةِ. He cannot roll over to the next year. Okay, I was supposed to pay 1,000 euro. I paid 1,500. Let me roll over 500 to the next year. So at the next year, if I have to pay 1,000 euro khums, I have already 500 euros from the past year, so the khums will be exempt. No, you can't do that. لم يجوز له احتساب الزائد مما يجب عليه في السنة التالية. You cannot consider whatever you are supposed to pay in the next year, the exceeded amount of the next year, khums of the next year's exceeded in benefits from this, considering a rollover. Okay, let me shift this 500 which paid extra to next year. So next year, if I have to pay 1,000 khums, I'll just pay 500 because 500 is advance carried forward. مما يجب في إلا بمراجعتها. This illa is a good thing. Illa is good thing. Other maraja do not allow, most of the top ones. But here, say the sister says, except unless if you come and discuss with the religious authority. So you can roll over. Okay? Initially you cannot. But you come to the religious authority, explain him your circumstances. Then yes, this can be done. The rollover can be done. إلا بمراجعة الحاكم الشرعي. So he says the rollover, this 500 shifted to next year. If you do it with the referring to the approval of the religious authority, then there is no problem in it. نعم يجوز له أن يرجع به على الفقير. What about if you had given to the faqir, like Sahm al-Sada? You see? So you go to the faqir, knock, knock, knock. Yes. Well, I paid you extra khums. I was supposed to give you Sahm al-Sada 500 euro. I gave you like 1,000 euro. So the faqir says, Khuda Hafiz, thank you so much. I've used it. نعم يجوز له أن يرجع. He can demand the extra paid to the faqir مع بقاء عينه. If those 500 were still there in its form, okay, he had not used it. مع بقاء عينه, okay, it did not perish. The same thing was not perished. وكذا مع تلفيا, and you can also demand the substitute, okay. So the same thing you can demand it, but you can demand the substitute only if the giver had the knowledge of the state. So, and even if it was perish, okay, with the poor guy, and the giver had knowledge of its state, then you can. So he says, مع بقاء عينه وكذا مع تلفه. If you knew from the beginning that the extra has been given, then you can return it from the faqir. If not the original, the substitute. So religious authority, no. Roll over, no, unless with the permission of religious authority. Poor, yes. Perished, no, unless if you had the knowledge that you have paid extra. So this is, but if you go to the faqir say perished, you want to roll over, religious authority. So rolling over to next year requires permission from the religious authority. Next ruling number 1240. So the agriculture harvests, they take time sometimes, you see. So you may be in loss in first year. Next year, this is another ruling of the recovering. Remember in the previous session, we said recovering of the losses. Here we have a different type of recovering of the losses. It is not in the same year, it is in the different year. So you lost this year. Can you recover from next year? Benefit. Your capital of investment went down. Next year, your capital of investment went up. So can you recover the losses and bring your capital of investment? So let's give you a number example. You had 100,000 capital of investment. You lost, it became 80,000. Next year, it became 100,000. Okay. So do I have to pay the khums of this 80? Because this 80 gain was not in this year. It was in the next year I gained. My capital of investment became as it was before in last year. So this is the ruling which is discussing. إذا جاء رأس الحول, if the end of the year comes, okay, khums payday comes, arrives, okay, وكان ناتج بعض الزرع حاصلا. Some of the harvested product or production of the agriculture was ready to be harvested. حاصلا دون بعض, and some were not. So you are expecting like 1,000 apples, 500 apples were there. For example, I don't know exactly how this works. Every year you have one apple, or some years you have twice fruit in some countries, but normally the trees they give once. So you are expecting 1,000 apple. This year you only got 500 apples. Okay, so loss. And you are expecting next year to get 500. وَكَانَ نَاتِجُ بَعْضِ الزَّرْعِ. Some of the trees, they gave production. Some other trees, they did not. Okay, so دون البعض فما حصلت نتيجته. So your expectation were not met. دون بعض فما حصلت نتيجته يكون من رأس سنتي ويخمس بعد إخراج المؤان. وما لم تحصل نتيجته يكون من أرباح السنة اللاحقة. He says that whatever production you made this year, you will sell it, you will use the money in your living expenses, you will exempt the bills paid, the taxes paid, the farmer money, whatsoever, whatever net profit remains, you will pay the khums. That means you'll bring the capital of investment, and whatever extra, if you have used it in your family expenses, that's fine. If not, then you pay the khums of it. This is for the production which was ready. As for the production which was not ready, that is, you don't have to pay the khums of it this year. You pay the khums of it whenever they are produced, whenever they are harvested. Okay? So if the khums payday had arrived, however, some of the production was harvested or produced, and some were not, then whatever produced before that day will be, before khums day, will be considered from the profits and income of such year, and must be khums after excluding the expenses of growth. like whatever you spend in its growth, like invested, like farmers bill, fees, government taxes, water bill, all these bills, you take it out from your net profit, and then whatever is remaining, that that's the thing which you need to pay the khums of it. Uh, After excluding the expenses of growth or expenses made for growth, invested in it, and whatever was not produced would be considered from the upcoming profits of the coming year. Okay, so it would be from the profits of the upcoming year, from the profits. Last slide. نعم. However, yes. إذا كانت له قيمة. So now again, the trees, some are produced, some are not produced. So those which are produced, you are going to pay the khums of it, ready harvested production. Some are not. However, the flowers are there. That means there are going to be apples. For example, I'm giving example. I'm not an expert in agriculture. So you know that there are flowers. That means next year these flowers are going to drop and fruits will come out. For example, or you know that those trees are going to produce next year. So this year I can already make business deal and sell those apples which are going to come next year. I'm going to sell, or the rice or whatsoever, because many of these rice farms, as I was told in Pakistan, they purchase in advance. There is no rice, there's nothing, but they know that the rice is going to grow. So that much competition is in global rice business, that people, they purchase in advance. They pay advance to the farmer. They say, this rice is going to be for us. So they export that rice. They pack it and export it. So this farmer's job is to provide the rice to the broker in the middle. That broker takes the rice and gives it to the factories, which packing companies. The packing companies then they export it, or they take it to the exporters. So however, this broker, they came and they said, we are going to buy the rice. The trees are there. So it has market value. Even though the rice is not out, but it has market value. So he says that, نعم إذا كانت له قيمة حسب بما له من القيمة الفعلية. If that thing had a market value, then you have to consider it income of this year and pay the khums of it. Whatever was not harvested or produced had an actual market value. That means such could be sold actually in the market before being harvested. Like I said, rice business. Then such value would be considered from the incoming profits. So that means there's nothing there. There are trees, but there are trees potentially they are going to grow. So it has market value. It can be sold. The products of it in advance. Then such value would be considered from the incoming profits of this year, thus khums. Not next year, then this year. The one you don't like we said, you are going to pay the khums of whatever was harvested this year, that year, that year. But if whatever is going to be harvested that year has a market value, needs to be paid khums this year. Thus khums, and whatever did not have any market value would be considered from the incoming profits of the next year. And he gives an example. If the khums, you know that corn has, we call it ear of corn, that ear of corn or ear of rice or all these things, like we call it sumbula in Arabic language. إذا حل رأس السنة, if the end of the year, khums payday comes, some of the plants had completed ears of this year, the corn ear and the rice ear and all those things, sumbula. وجب إخراج خمس الجميع. You have to pay the khums of it. Why? Because this sumbul, this ear is going to produce next year. But now it has value. As long as it's there, people know that there's going to be rice with this guy. So they pay money in advance. So there is a kind of market value. So some trees, they had symbol. Some trees, they had beginning of symbol. Symbol means like those ears. Some trees, they had ready. Some, they had small ones. So he says, as long as there is small one, which is going to grow later, after 1 month, because your Khums payday was today, and after 10 days, these would produce. So you are in the middle of the harvesting season. You are in the middle of the harvesting season. Okay? So you paid some are potentially going to be harvested after 1 month next year. Now you're in the middle of your production. So you say, then pay the khums of it. If they are out, pay the khums of it. قصيل لا سنبل له. So there is a twig which is potentially, it's going to make a ear, make a sumbul. وجب إخراج خمس الجميع. All of these, the twigs and the ears, they all need to be khums, because after 1 month you are going to have that. And these twigs, they have market value. وإذا ظهر السنبل في السنة الثانية من أرباحها لا من كان من أرباحها لا من أرباح هذه السنة. Let's say if there was nothing on this tree and you passed the Khums day, and now the season of harvesting came. So the sumbul came out and the twigs came out. So that's the year. So then it will be the benefits and interest of that year, and not the past year where there was no sumbul, no year on the tree. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. صلي على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على